Welcome, everyone. I'm Niccolo Stefani. I'm the business leader of population health at DeepHealth. And today I'm joined by three experts from DeepHealth and from RadNet. And what we want to do is really give some insight on AI-powered solution, in this case, like the DeepHealth Thyroid Suite, can help, of course, deliver a better clinical outcome and support the care team and be more efficient and focus on what the clinical tasks they are. So if we look a little bit at the challenge in thyroids today, thyroid disease affect a lot of people worldwide, an average of 20 million people in the United States. And more or less half of them also, they don't know that they have any thyroid disease, so it's undiagnosed. And the traditional workflow of thyroid ultrasound is also not easy, rely on, of course, like a special skill. It can be, time consuming. And so it's not only the patient experience, of course, that there is a stake here, but it's also, the care team experience and as well the overall end-to-end workflow. So how we can, help the patient and the care team, and how solution like AI-powered solution like Thyroid Suite can help achieve a better result. So today, I'm lucky to have here with me three experts, starting from Vickie Bedel, that she's the head VP of Northeast Operation at RadNet and Chief Digital Officer for RadNet. And I have Ashley Repp, that she's the RadNet Director of Ultrasound for the West Coast. And also Milad Mohammadzadeh, and that is driving the product strategy and delivery at DeepHealth for our thyroid solution. So to start and don't really lose more time, what I would like to start with is really talking about the scale of the challenge, the scale of the problem. And I think what better way to do to start with Vickie in this case. Maybe you can give us some numbers, some really like you can really shed the light on some of the opportunity also that we can have adopting some of these AI solutions to support thyroid diagnosis. So if you can give us, like an overview of what is happening at RadNet and what you see in your daily practice.
Sure. Thank you. And good day, everybody. As many folks may know, RadNet owns and operates over 400 imaging centers. From a thyroid ultrasound perspective, over 300 of our locations actually perform thyroids, and just a rough number of volume, that capacity is about 15,000 per month. Nico mentioned the challenge of the workforce today, but AI tools in general play both a recruitment place in our world as well as retention, due to the fact that many technologists, as we may read about, or just in healthcare in general, have burnout. The AI-powered technologies, again, mentioning recruitment, really as our new sonographers graduate from programs and our experienced sonographers gives them a growth path within our corporation or within our footprint. As we introduce AI and introduce smarter workflows, it actually helps our efficiencies, and it reduces repetitive tasks for our technologists. And it allows our technologists to really focus on the patient, affords them to spend the appropriate amount of time with the patient versus in the past having to deal with administrative tasks. With that, obviously, then it enhances the patient experience and the technologists alike. And that perhaps one would say that an ultrasound of the thyroid is cumbersome. It's really an exam that has become less cumbersome and more likable, if you will, by the sonographers. It also allows us to better utilize our equipment as we bring in AI to the workforce. Our most valuable resources are obviously our technologists, and we across healthcare and in imaging need to make sure that we are using our technologists and our equipment install base to the best of our ability.
Thank you, Vickie. And again, as you said, 300 center, and again, a lot of people involved in operation and in the delivery of care. So here we're not really talking about only how do we implement AI, but how do we implement AI at scale. And if we now, dive deeper more at the really in the team that deliver, in this case, the acquisition of the thyroid ultrasound, and we moved to Ashley for that. Is Ashley, if you can help us understand a little bit, the main challenge in the acquisition and reporting that your team is experiencing, and how potentially I can help on that side.
Of course. Well, thank you for having us. Again, just as Vickie was saying, with RadNet being one of the largest outpatient diagnostic enterprises, we're seeing a few key challenges when it comes to thyroid ultrasound. One of the biggest issues is the standardization, the way we measure and report our nodules according to the ACR and the thyroid guidelines. With more new and less experienced technologists enter the field, it can be very difficult to keep everyone consistent in how they measure and describe those nodules. That inconsistency can really cause and affect diagnostic accuracy and ultimately how we actually manage the patient. Another really big challenge is the high patient volume that we deal with every day. When you're scanning back to back, it could be tough to balance those efficiencies and the quality, and that's where mistakes can happen. Missing a small finding or measuring a nodule, incorrectly may not seem a big deal in the moment, but it could really have a big impact for those patients. For example, if you measure that nodule inaccurately, it could change the TI-RADS score, which might lead to unnecessary biopsies, or on the other hand, we might be missing something that actually might need to be followed up a little bit more closely. So truly, our goal is to really focus on consistency, making sure everyone's properly trained, the quality assurance, and making sure everyone is able to follow the same standards so the patient gets an accurate and reliable result every time.
Thank you, Ashley. So I think we are pretty now good in understanding the size of the problem. As I said, the scattered workflow, the special skill needed, the high volume. So now if we're going to deep dive a little bit more on, okay, what the possible solution that we may have to support all of these. So we move to Milad, and I think the first question also as a background, I think the audience will be interested in, first of all, is, why ultrasound, no? How the idea came to really develop an AI to support ultrasound. And again, from there, of course, like how the product itself, the thyroid suite can support, of course, like in this case, Ashley and Vickie with their operation and their patient.
In terms of why ultrasound, the first thing that I want to mention is that it is a high volume imaging that is complex, it's highly operator dependent, and it's underserved when in AI. When you look at the competitive landscape of AI solutions in radiology, there is a lot around other modalities, but much fewer solutions around ultrasound in general. So it really is a space that I think requires work and is a big opportunity. And when we looked at the landscape of ultrasound, one of the things that attracted us to looking at thyroid and breast ultrasound, thyroid ultrasound in particular, was the high volume of imaging that's performed, all of the challenges that Ashley and Vickie alluded to, the lack of experienced sonographers over time, the shortage of sonographers, the high amount of time that's spent on reporting these exams. And that's what really gave us the brief for solving this problem. So the challenge that we set out for ourselves was, how can we offer as much automation as possible in reporting of thyroid ultrasound without compromising quality? And the way that we went about delivering on that was detection of thyroid nodules without any user input. And that part of getting no user input is a pretty big differentiator of what we built. Of course, characterization of these nodules according to ACR TI-RADS. And finally, gathering context from all of the images that the sonographer requires to put it all together in one report. And relying on the annotations, relying on all of the context that the sonographers actually provide us when they are acquiring these images. How can we use all of that in combination of our detection and characterization models and deliver a report very quickly back to the clinicians and a report that does not compromise the quality that they want to deliver on.
Thank you, Milad. And I think this is also an example that I would like to bring in when there are really solutions that are developed because there is a clinical needs, correct? So we saw so many tech push out there of solution that, they may be cool, but, they don't have maybe that kind of like clinical value. And I think here is more around I want to solve a problem. And I think you and team, of course, has been looking at that and really developed that with that state of mind that I think that make the difference in the outcome. So if now we move from theory to practice, and I think our audience here is what they're waiting to hear, and we move back to Ashley, is you and team are using now the solution, the new solution since a while. So what did change in your team? What is working better? What actually is now the new type of workflow that you are adopting? So please share with us what is the experience now, how these things now is going better, and what your team is thinking about it.
So earlier this year, we had the opportunity to pilot the thyroid AI at several of our centers, where we were able to really test out that technology and to really see what the benefits could come for our sonographers, our radiologists, as well as our patients, and really to give back the time to the sonographers as well as the radiologist. After we finished up our pilot, we were able to then, dive in deep to see what was going to be our protocol moving forward throughout RadNet, which we came to a certain protocol where they would be imaging the thyroid, measuring the nodules, and then once they're done, they send everything through, and that is completely it. So now we have completely taken out that daunting paperwork, saving them 10 extra minutes where now they could actually spend time with the patient, making sure that they're optimizing their images and to really make sure that they give the most accurate images to the radiologist. Truly, this has been quite an adventure the last several months. It has gone quite well. There may be some hiccups here and there, just depending on how individuals maybe have been measuring the thyroid or measuring the nodules, maybe not per the TI-RADS categorizations. But also now it really has shown to be a great tool for our radiologists. And now they won't even read a thyroid without CMO or thyroid AI to be done, which has been pretty impressive.
And that's great to hear. And I think with the main advantage and benefit that you mentioned, I think, of course, the one that at least, jump immediately to attention is the fact that, of course, you have a patient there that just is stressed about the exam itself and is on the bed waiting, for the exam to be over. And so the fact that now you can shorter the exam, but also the patient doesn't spend time to look at someone typing something for 5-10 minutes. I think that's, of course, at least it jump immediately to the conclusion that it's something that benefit the experience itself. And so now if we look now, of course, at the benefit that the care team is experiencing, we also know that it could be challenge deploy AI and deploy AI at scale. So if we go back to Vickie, from an operations standpoint, how was the experience of the deployment implementation of this solution in the RadNet team?
Sure. First of all, I think what you've heard from Milad, you've heard from Ashley, we're collectively pointing out as a statement in RadNet that we routinely share or state that good medicine is good business. It's allowing our technologists to spend much more time with patients. And I think at this day and age, patients expect that, at least also as they're reading more about AI entering the imaging and healthcare field. We're also very fortunate here at RadNet to have the best sonography team throughout our company, as well as obviously the collaboration with the DeepHealth scientists and engineers. From a deployment perspective, as Ashley mentioned, we started several months ago. Early June, we were actually given the solution. And by early July, we started to hit those over 300 locations that perform ultrasound of the thyroid. Today, out of those 300 and plus locations, less than 50 centers remain as part of that deployment. And in October, we actually processed approximately 14,000 exams through the AI solution. Again, helping our sonographers, assisting our radiologists, and continual learning on both sides of the spectrum here. The ease of integration with our existing systems really just comes from our entire team, controlling that, monitoring that, and making it better every single day. The team's perception and engagement during the rollout was very open and collaborative. Again, we're very, very fortunate to have a stand-up sonography team where they're always interested in growing. And on the other side, us being the implementation team, we're very good at listening. And we took their lead, both from a technologist perspective and a radiologist perspective, to go where we are today. The other way that we scale quickly, Ashley mentioned, is we pre-pilot, whatever you'd like to call it, but we get together and analyze those things and say, yes, this worked. No, this didn't. And then we move along. Many of us use the phrase, go slow to go fast. And that's exactly what we see throughout all these implementations. They're measurable gains, Ashley mentioned that too. We've been able to reduce our exam times. We're taking a third of that off of our technologists. And more importantly, we're also increasing capacity as the business needs dictate in each and every one of our markets.
Thank you, Vickie. And I think Ashley mentioned a little bit of that before, but I think what would be interesting to hear is that, how the radiologists, they've been using also how they were reacting to the implementation of this AI solution.
Sure. I mean, initially cautious, right? Just being fully transparent. They obviously want to test things out, but really, as Ashley mentioned, very quickly into the process, our radiologists would not read a thyroid ultrasound without the support of the AI. So that's when I think we collectively knew that this was a home run.
Thank you. And Ashley, you mentioned before as well, but again, same for you. So how the team now is using the solution, but also really how they are liking it. What are the feedback that you hear every day?
Especially from the sonographers, their feedback, it has been, they're impressed. They're impressed to see that just as quickly as they're done with the exam, as quickly as a generated digital worksheet already populates for them, it already goes straight over to the radiologist. And they're like, is that all that I need to do? I think they're still kind of in awe that like, are you sure? Any more paper worksheets? Should I draw in these nodules? I think they're still trying to grasp their head around that. No, everything's happening in the background for you. Don't you worry. Everything's been taken care of. From a radiologist standpoint, obviously, we're always making more improvements. They have been really great with the positive feedback, especially when it comes to, why did the AI say this? Oh, that's wonderful. What about, adding this into the template to really help them, cut the time on constantly dictating these, sometimes very tedious exams.
Thank you, Ashley. And again, I know we are, close to the time, but another question for you, Milad. I think one is really about, we heard that the deployment, of course, went well, but from your side, really on the solution side, how you perceive the deployment went with RadNet. And another one that is also more important is that how the vertical integration, so how actually the partnership with RadNet, it has and also it will. Potentially, of course, improve the solution itself at probably a faster speed.
On the deployment side of things, things went really well, and we, in collaboration with the team at RadNet, we managed to scale the product very quickly, I think because of two things. One is that it was because of the way that we built the product. We built it in a way that's cloud-based. It easily fits into the workflow. It talks to the right IT systems. But besides that, there's been really a stellar collaboration with everybody at RadNet that was involved in the rollout. It's huge thanks to them, from clinical to IT to operations, everybody going after one goal, which is how can we shorten these reporting times without compromising their quality, and how can we scale this quickly? Everybody going after that goal and collaborating with each other really closely towards that. It was a combination of both of those that I think delivered on that target and that growth and that pace of growth. The second topic that you brought up is something that's super exciting for me and everybody in the team that's building the solution, which is, as Vickie alluded to, just over the past 30 days, we analyzed over 14,000 thyroid ultrasound exams at RadNet. And we've built a feedback loop with which we are receiving all of the final radiologist reports and comparing that against our original AI reports. And we're learning from that. And that scale and that type of feedback loop is something that any AI team would dream of. We're gathering this data at massive scale, and we're combining sort of the quantitative analysis that we're doing on the data and the statistics with the user perception. And meetings that we set out with clinicians, with sonographers, with radiologists, with operations teams, hearing their qualitative feedback and combining that qualitative feedback with the massive amount of data that we're getting to improve the product. And that is something that I believe is quite unique to the position that we're in at DeepHealth and the collaboration that we have at RadNet, where we have this opportunity to roll things out at small scale initially, test it out with a very collaborative team. And once things work, we scale that at a very exceptional pace.
Thank you, Milad. So I think we are at the end of the session. First of all, I want to thank all of you. So Vickie, Ashley, and Milad. I think this was really insightful conversation as well. Really, this is the only way we can, of course, further improve on our solution and as well actually celebrate, because we hear that we are making an impact all together. So that's, of course, what is important in impacting the patient care. And so at DeepHealth, we are trying to do that. Now we are really looking to develop more and more AI-powered care solutions that are empowering the clinician and the care team with technology that work really seamless, integrated in the existing workflow. And the goal of all of these, and what we hear a little bit of that today, is really driving stage shift disease, like in this case, thyroid cancer. So how we can do this more and more across different diseases. And again, thank you all of you again, and thank you to the audience to participate today. It was really a pleasure for me to host this session. Thank you.